I can't believe the year is over. Like, this is crazy because I started my 2025 on a rocky foundation. I mean, I was searching for answers, desperate for direction, and then one day I heard a voice tell me, you should get baptized. So I started going to church and I obeyed because I thought obedience would bring clarity, maybe even relief. But instead, things just kept getting harder and I just felt like things were just getting worse. I lost my job. I had to pause school because without income, there was just no way I could pay my tuition. And that hurt, not just financially, but internally, because I kept asking myself, I'm doing what God asked me to do, so why is this still happening? Why do I feel like I'm still falling short? And honestly, I didn't have the time to sit in confusion. I had a child to provide for, so I applied everywhere, and I mean everywhere, because at that point, I wasn't chasing purpose anymore. I was chasing survival. So any job, any income, anything to keep my daughter okay and to have all the necessities that she needed. So I tried Uber, but childcare made it almost impossible. My mom helped, my sisters helped, but help has its limits, and I felt every one of them. I spent most of my year unemployed, quietly carrying stress that no one really saw. But yet, I kept my head high. I remember crying out to God, like, what am I missing? I have the experience, I have the credentials, I've done the work, so what exactly am I doing wrong? And he whispered back to me, well, it's because you're playing small. And honestly, that confused me even more because nothing, and I mean nothing, about my life felt small because I felt like I was being stretched thin, exhausted, barely holding it together. But I moved anyway and I applied pressure. So I started applying to higher positions, managerial roles, program director positions, and I mean interviews came, so many of them. I remember sitting in so many interviews and then silence. Weeks passed, doors stayed closed. So I humbled myself again because I'm like, okay, maybe this is not for me. And I remember a friend of mine told me that Macy's was hiring seasonal and literally you can get hired on the spot. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I took it because I needed something coming in. But the pay barely touched the bills, but it kept diapers in the house. And that was enough to thank God, honestly. So I kept showing up, clocking in, smiling through the wait while secretly wishing this wasn't my life. But I'm a providing mom, if anything else. So I had to suck it up. And I kept telling myself, just keep going. You got this. Then one Monday morning at 9 a.m., my phone rang. And mind you, I almost didn't answer because I'm like, who's calling me? Maybe it's like a bill collector or something. Like, I'm not going to answer. So I literally was not going to answer. But then I heard a voice say, pick it up. The voice on the other end was so cheerful and professional. When she said where she was calling from, my heart nearly dropped because it was a job I had been praying for silently, the one I didn't say out loud because, disappointment had already taken enough from me and I just didn't have the room for that anymore. And I remember she offered me the program director position of mental health services. I sat there stunned, like, is this really happening? I remember looking at my phone like, is this a real call? Is this a scam? And that's when it finally made sense to me because I wasn't being punished for obedience or anything like that. I was being positioned for what's to come. And I'm so grateful to God for that. Like, I couldn't understand why things were still falling apart for me. I couldn't understand why things were going the way it was. And then I realized obedience wasn't meant to make things easier right away. It was meant to make me ready, meant to position me for what's to come. Like, God didn't break my life, He broke my limitations. So I'm so grateful because I had to understand that God wasn't delaying me. He was developing me. And what I thought was falling apart was actually God refusing to let me settle for anything less than what He already promised me. So I wasn't being grounded. I was being aligned.